When it comes to Notion best practices, implementing master databases in your workspace is one of the first things that I think of. And that's really because they establish such a solid foundation for growing your workflows over time. Without these master databases, you may find yourself recreating the same database, whether that's you forgot you created it in the first place or that someone else on your team already created it. You'll also find yourself recreating database views. And lastly, you might be hunting through your trash in Notion because someone accidentally deleted an important database. Hopefully, you're not experiencing all of these three at the same time, but either way, you are in the right place. Because in this video, we're going to cover what a master database is, why and when you need them, and how to set them up in your workspace. Let's begin by talking about what a master database actually is. And I first came across the term master database via William Nutt's bulletproof methodology, where he describes structuring all information in these related master or backend databases, then creating dashboards for accessing that information contextually. And if I had to give a definition, I would say that a master database is a database that is essential to your workflow. And it serves as the source database that is then linked throughout your workspace. Some common examples of master databases, and I'll have a look at my workspace, show you my workspace. Some common examples are projects, tasks, and I would even say things like your knowledge base. These are databases that I build in almost every client's workspace. And of course, if a client uses Asana to manage projects and tasks, then I won't need to create master databases for those in Notion because I know that those workflows are being taken care of in another tool. So that comes back to the essential nature of master databases. It's a database that you're really going to be using throughout most of your workflows inside of Notion. So you might be wondering what makes a database a master database. And in my experience, a master database has the following three characteristics. Number one, it's almost always the starting point of a workflow, and it's therefore essential to that workflow. Because without my task and project management databases, my entire project management workflow would just not be as efficient as I would like it to be. Number two is that it's a database that's part of a workflow which I can envision growing or evolving over time, right? It's not something that it kind of just exists overnight. A lot of the time, master databases are tweaked and you experiment with different things, and then you come to this particular workflow being right for you or for your team. So it has this potential to evolve over time. And lastly, it's a database that I know will typically have more than one database view. And that takes us back to my definition of what a master database is. The second part where I say it serves as a source database that is linked throughout your workspace. And if I were to give you an example of this, my task manager or my task master database, this is it here. However, I have this linked on my home page. It's linked right here, and I also have it linked in my time log. These are all different views of the same master task database. So if I come here and I click show database title, you'll see that this is all my task manager. And that's why I say that these databases are linked throughout your workspace, right? You're not really tampering with the source database. You people in your workspace and you yourself are going to be interacting with linked views of that database. So the next thing that I want to look at is probably the most important thing. Why should you be using master databases in your workspace? So by now, I hope that you're starting to see that master databases are important. But how exactly are they helpful? Why should you go about implementing them in your workspace as opposed to just creating databases anywhere and anyhow? I've noticed that many people who gravitate towards Notion for work management love the fact that it's a blank canvas. That means that you can tailor the workspace to your specific needs, both functionally and aesthetically. This is in contrast to other tools like Asana, this is Asana here, or ClickUp, which come with a structure already. All right, you have to input information into this structure, but you already have the structure there for you to interact with. You don't have to be creating this structure. You can create new views and you can customize certain things, but you don't have as full or as large an ability to customize the layout of the page as you do with Notion. Now, the drawback to the freedom of Notion being this beautiful blank canvas is that when you start setting up your Notion workspace, especially on your own, there comes a point where you start to wonder, where should I put this? Or am I building this in the right way? And when it comes to databases in Notion, having these master databases gives you the confidence, and it's really about the confidence to how you interact in your workspace, and you as well as your team if you have one. So it gives you the confidence that you are not going to be doing any duplicate work that goes back to the recreating of databases that you may not know exist already, as well as database views. And therefore, you are saving yourself and your team time. It also means that you don't have to worry about a core component of your workflow, and in this case, that's a database, being accidentally deleted. And as I explained that earlier, that's because your team is going to be interacting with linked views of the database, not the source database. So if on my homepage, I delete this, let's say I delete this database view, that's not going to be a problem because this is just a linked view of my task manager, which lives in that database page that I showed you initially. I know that this is a linked view because I see this arrow that's kind of up and going to the right. That tells me that it's a linked view. But in many workspaces, this database title is hidden. Personally, for aesthetic reasons, I just don't like seeing things duplicated. But it also is like an underlying rule sort of in your workspace that anything that's on this homepage or in the active parts of the workspace where people will be interacting with information is not going to be a linked. It's not going to be the source database. It's going to be a linked database view. So there's no anxiety about, oh my gosh, something is missing from here and I don't know where to find it, or I have to go hunting through the trash. That's no longer a problem because you have all of your databases inside of this master database page, but essentially you have master databases. So let's move on back over here. One question that I get a lot is, does every single database need to be a master database? And the answer to that question is no. there are some databases that are not essential to your workflow. You know, you're simply experimenting with something, whether it's you thinking of it yourself or maybe you saw something online, but you're experimenting with how this can work for you. These can be created on a separate page or in a dashboard, and over time, it can either be deleted, it can be archived if you don't need it anymore, but you don't necessarily want to delete it, or it can be moved to that master database page. And I'll show you an example. If I go to my marketing page, my marketing dashboard, I have this marketing tracker, and this is not a master database. It's not located on my master database page, and it's not something that I know is going to be needed. It's not something that I know is essential yet. So I've just created this on this page in this dashboard, and I will see how it goes. I might not need this, so it might be deleted, or maybe I will move it to a note in my knowledge base and it'll be in sort of like an archive stage. Or if I do see this as being very useful to my marketing process, I can go ahead and move this to my master databases page. So this is just an example of a database that is, I would not refer to as a master database simply because I don't yet know if it's going to be essential to my workflow. So now let's look at how to set up a master database in your Notion workspace. This is going to be the last part of the video. If you do have a page that is dedicated to all of your master databases, or even if you don't have a page, the first thing that you want to think about is, what are you using Notion for, right? Notion is a tool, and you want to be specific about your intention for its use. So if you are a remote team, it's likely that you'll be using Notion to manage projects, tasks, and documents. So you know that you will need these 3 master databases. Your next step is going to be to create a page like this one, where all of your master databases will live and they will grow happily together. And that's just going to make it easy for you or your team to find these essential databases when it's time to add these database views. Or to double check before creating something new within the workspace. Now I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, but this video is just supposed to be an introduction and really, well, more than an introduction, everything that you need to know about master databases, the purpose of it, and why it's useful to start structuring your Notion workspace in this way. If I just had a blank page and I were going to create a new master database, I would use my / command and type in database, and you'll see that you can put in an inline database here. And that's really how you start using master databases. You give your database a title, and then you start adding the properties, or of course you can use Notion's, let me pop that up again, this at the side here. So you can either build with AI or use any of these databases that Notion has built in. So that's how I would start, but I would make sure that I'm being intentional. Even if I'm using a template from someone else, go through all of the database views and ask, is this necessary? Go through the properties. Do I need this? Because the last thing that you want is unnecessary stuff cluttering your workspace. Anyway, so in closing, tomorrow we'll be looking into the one page that I think every Notion workspace needs. It's very related to master databases. You can probably guess what it is, but definitely stick around. I'm going to go into this more in depth. Also, for the coming month, I am offering free systems health checks, specifically for online businesses, where we take a look at your business systems. So whether you have completely nothing, whether they're completely non-existent, or if you already do have a Notion workspace and you have some things set up, but you would like to have an expert's input into one of your most frustrating workflows, you can sign up for the systems health check at the link in the description. You'll see a little ambulance emoji next to the link where you can schedule this one-on-one call with me. So with all of that being said, I hope that you understand master databases and why they are important, why I love them so much. I've been thinking about a t-shirt that says, "Show me your master databases and I'll show you mine." A bit suggestive. I may or may not actually execute that, but that's it for now. I will see you in tomorrow's video.